So back to your other point, you wanted me to respond to. You said Mike Griffin. I don't know who Mike Griffin is.
His hashtag. He basically over the past week has put together a hashtag Trask campaign where he's comparing Kyle Trask to an Andre Ware and how he doesn't deserve the Heisman and how he's basically saying Trask is overrated because he basically based on the Georgia loss for them, or rather the Florida loss to them.
Does Mike Griffin have a Heisman vote?
Yes. I found that out based on Greg McElroy on the Feinbaum show saying, bring into question his Heisman vote. I believe
I see it here.
He has one.
Yeah.
Because I believe he has one.
Yeah, it looks like he does.
I could be wrong.
He's a Georgia writer. Okay.
Yes. Do you think his Heisman rights should be revoked based on how he's going to show an apparent biasness in his voting?
Well, I think a lot of Heisman voters' votes should be taken away from them because I've already seen so many examples of writers and broadcasters who have Heisman votes who don't even follow college football and don't know what they're talking about. So that's an issue already. I've seen a ton of examples of that. When I first moved here, so I live in Connecticut. I moved here because I got a job at ESPN and was there for 19 years. So when I first moved here, I started listening to a radio show in New York called Mike and the Mad Dog. And they talked about the New York Yankees and the New York Mets like every day of the year. And all they cared about was baseball. And then they talked the NFL. And they talked about college football maybe like 2 weekends of the year. Like the weekend of Thanksgiving with all the rivalry games. And then around the national championship game. And they both had Heisman votes. And it was clear in listening to them that they didn't follow it. They didn't know what was going on. They had a bunch of perceptions that were based on what happened like 10 years ago. So I am sure that all sorts of Heisman voters do not belong. But that said, this guy in particular... They're
all, I guess, sports broadcasters, so they're given it, they are writers based on they cover sports. So I guess on the assumption that they college football.
Well, I'll let you know that when I worked as a sports director at a CBS station in Mississippi, I was selected to be a member of whatever association voted on the final Major League Baseball All-Star team. And nobody ever tested me. Nobody ever gave me any kind of questionnaire. Nobody ever talked to me to determine whether I was qualified or knew enough about Major League Baseball to vote on the final Associated Press, I believe, All-Star team. But I was given a vote.
Wow.
So I was a huge baseball fan, so I considered myself more than qualified, but I could have maybe known nothing about it. So the one thing I will say about this Griffin guy, based on what you just told me about the comparison with Andre Ware, is that there's no comparison there because at the time that Andre Ware won the 1989 Heisman Trophy and was putting up, ridiculous numbers, he was doing so against, and I could pull up the schedule now, but this was at a time in which the Southwest Conference had taken a huge tumble in stature, and they played a horrendous non-conference schedule, and he was beating up the likes of all sorts of garbage teams, that Houston team was putting up 80 and 90 points in certain games against horrible teams. And there's no comparison between the schedule that Andre Ware faced in 1989 and Kyle Trask playing an all SEC schedule. No comparison.
And putting up 31 touchdowns and 2,500 yards passing.
Yeah.
Against all SEC.
Now, we could argue all day on whether Kyle Trask is a pro prospect, but that should have nothing to do with his Heisman candidacy. He is playing. He's playing the position. He's playing the position better than anybody in the country right now.